What if you could step into Santa's workshop for real? Well, sort of. Welcome back to Martin's Assembly Haven, and today we're starting a multi-part build of this magical little factory kit. This is the Dream Gift Factory DIY assembly model from Rokr. In this part 1, I will unbox it, dive into the components and begin the assembly. So make sure you stick around because by the end of this series you will see lights glow, music play and gifts being made. And you will know how to build one yourself. So let's begin. Right, let's see what we've got in this pretty big sized box. So we've got our instruction manual. Let's see how many pages have we got. We've got 50 pages altogether, so that's actually not too bad at all. I'm not even going to really look at them because Rokr's known for their instructions being quite incredibly detailed and quite easy to follow, which is amazing. And if this is like your first kit from Rokr ever, you will love those instructions. There's our actual wooden sheet, so this is where the pieces live. And I can also see a little bit of sandpaper. I'm not sure if that's going to do, and if it doesn't, it's okay. We can use like 120 grit sandpaper. That will do perfectly fine. So altogether, we've got 10 wooden sheets here, and we've also got this. It kind of feels like thick-ish paper. It's very quite strange, and it's not easy to rip. I tried to rip a corner just to see. But yeah, it's like a thick paper, but it feels really nice and slidey. We also got these really thin plastic pieces. And when we look at boards, so we got our tool, which is right here, and that will help us to push out pieces. Literally, just like that, which is amazing. And obviously it will also be used for like spacers and shafts. And anywhere that you look at boards and you see this plus sign, that means that is your spare part for that specific piece, which is amazing. And if I take a look around all the boards, there's actually a lot of spare parts, which is brilliant. I actually just realized there's another board right here. So that's actually 11 sheets altogether, which is a very good amount. And look at that. Look at all these colours. That looks absolutely awesome. Yep, love it. And I don't know what you guys do with your wooden sheets, how you organise them, but what I like to do normally is I like to kind of stack them one after the other, so A, B, C, D and so on in a row. And what I use is, I actually use a bamboo wooden it's a dish rack basically, and it's got quite a lot of spaces, and it's actually very handy because it organises everything instead of having sheets lying down like this, because it's just not as easy to find the boards that you need. So you could simply probably go to your local store and you could probably find something similar, or if you can't be bothered, I've got a link in the description, you can go and check it out. It's actually incredibly handy. Right, let's see what else we've got here. So we've got this, it looks kind of like a film. Very thin, very bendy, so be careful with that one, I would assume. Do not want to damage that. We have got a couple of bigger plastic parts. Obviously these are quite small-ish, but this is quite a big one. Let's see what else we've got. We've got this little pouch, and I can guarantee you that is the speaker. It's just really well protected. Let's have a look. Oh my god, that is difficult to open. Oh my goodness, right, I finally managed to open it. That was actually quite difficult. Oof. Right. Yep, there we go. That's our little speaker. That is magic. Let's pop that to the side. We've got a little like nail file, so that is your sandpaper. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Bit of manicure, right? Or pedicure, whatever it is. We have also got some screws and little nail clippers. So this will be used for your actual plastic parts to help you cut them out. So these ones right here, so you get really close to the edge and cut it. So that's nice to have. Let's see what else we got. We got our screwdriver, decent size, you know. So yeah, it's not too small, because sometimes you get really small screwdrivers and they're not that easy to hold. We got a couple of bags of screws, not that many screws actually. We have got our power supply right here, as you can see. We've also got a belt, so that will be for one of the lines, I would assume. Or maybe a couple of them. Got a couple more screws. We got wax. Yes, as you can see, I've got one wax stick, which is perfect. If you don't get wax in your kit, because not all countries are able to receive waxes for some reason in kits, you can simply use like a birthday candle, shave off the sides like that, so you can use it for the gears, or simply use a tea light candle for everything else. Very easy and cheap. And we've got another board here. I'm pretty sure I can see a couple of lights on it. Alright, nothing else here. We have got motor here. We got one more. So there's actually a lot of moving parts in that model, but there's only one more. Okay, I'm kinda intrigued. I'm not gonna lie, I assumed there'd be at least like 2 or 3 motors, but nope. And here's our actual controls board, you know. There we are. As you can see, there's so many connections. It'll just help you distribute the power, obviously, to all the other parts that need power. So that's really cool. Got a really nice looking spring there. Interesting. Can't wait to see where that goes. And that is about it. You can actually use this plastic part to kind of keep all your little bits and bobs, your electronics and everything in it, just to kind of have everything in one place. And that's what we have in the kit as a whole. What else I normally take with me when I do my kits, which is actually very handy so you don't have to go and look around it while you're trying to do your model. I normally keep super glue with me because that is very handy. And I have also invested in an electric screwdriver myself because I just find it a little bit nicer, and it comes with a ton of bits on both sides. And it also has lights right here, look at that. Yep, that is really cool. And we can also control the torque, which is amazing. So let's take this as an example. So it's on 1. As you can see, I start it. Stops very easily. If I increase it, there we go. Now it's on max. And let's try it again. To try and stop it, you can't. So yeah, that is absolutely amazing, to be honest, because you don't want to over tighten your screws, so having that torque control is amazing. And if you don't have anything like that already, and if you fancy anything like that, there's a link down below that you can go and check it out. And just one more tip before I begin the build. What I like to do, you can do this however you fancy, of course, but I like to pop out loads of steps ahead, so I kind of lay them around me like a half circle, and I just grab one pile, then the other pile. So it's basically grabbing step 1, step 2, step 3. I kind of find it more enjoyable, but of course you can do it however you fancy. And before we begin the build, guys, please make sure you leave a like for this video down below so other people like you can discover this guide, and subscribe for more so you don't miss the rest of this model's build. And check out this model or other models on Amazon if you prefer that, or Rokr/Robotime website. And remember, use my promo code Martins15 and you will receive 15% off on everything. That only works on Robotime website, just to let you know. And if you think at any point I'm going too fast for you, you can just press pause on the video. And I really hope you guys enjoy this, and happy building. Let's begin. Okay, ladies and gents, so as you can see, I have got my first 6 steps all popped out and sanded, ready to go. There is a little bit of waxing to do, but I haven't done it because I need to show you where to wax exactly, and especially in areas where the instructions don't tell you to wax. And I don't know if you remember how I said I'm not even going to bother looking at the instructions. I know they're good, and they are. They're extremely detailed, but don't forget, you should definitely look at the instructions because you want to familiarise yourself with everything, because it also gives you a couple of really good tips. As an example, let's take this board and you grab your little tool so you're ready to push out a piece. Actually, a really good tip is if you turn the board upside down and then push the piece out. It actually kinda helps to pop it out much easier, and it just reduces the burrs. So that is an excellent tip. And when I talk about the sandpaper, hence sanding everything, one of my comments under my pinball machine mentioned that this little guy was basically enough for the whole kit. For me personally, it wasn't. And he was like, maybe I'm just over sanding. And I'm like, maybe I am, I'm not too sure. So I'm trying to go very gentle, especially when it comes to coloured parts like this one. And then you look at the sides, see that? That's all coloured as well. And you don't want to kind of ruin it or make it lighter. So just be extremely gentle. Just a couple of little wipes, I'm going to call it, strokes. There you go. And that's it. When we come to parts like that, yes, you can kind of sand a little bit more, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to see these plain type of parts, but still, I don't think there's need for it. As long as you've got the burr that's gone after sanding it a couple of times, that's really it. And when we talk about the gear sanding, sometimes you might get the burrs right on the top of the teeth, so you just obviously simply give it a couple of rubs and it'll be gone. And if you want to get in between the teeth, because sometimes there's burrs as well, I simply just kind of fold the side of the sandpaper, as you can see, and then I just kind of get in and gently give it a little wee sand, and then that is it. So yeah, that's the little wee tips for you before you actually start popping the pieces out. And even if you have popped them out, I'm sure it's perfectly fine. Right, enough of blethering. Let's start with our step number 1. So this is the piece that you want to have your hands on. And you have to make sure that this plain side is basically facing you or away to like the left hand side, because we're going to have a small piece going right in here. Let me just find my piece, which is right here. So we pop it straight in, not through the other side, not through the plain side, through the coloured side. Just be nice and gentle, give it a little wee wiggle like I did just now, and it went in really nicely. Right, keep that to the side. Then we move on to the next part. So I'm going to kind of split them. As you can see, this will be for one side, this will be for something else, and then this, that, and these two little guys, and this will be for another piece basically. So let's start with this guy right here. So we're holding it like that. Let's start with these little pieces. Right, that will go right in here, by the way, so hold it like this. There we are. And what we can do is we can actually pop this guy on one of them just now. So as you're holding this, as you wear, make sure you hold this the correct way, so like this. So the little hook has to face this big open space. And then we simply try and pop it on, just nice and gentle. No rush. There we are. And we do exactly the same on the other side. Hear that nice little clicks. Oh, that is satisfying. There you go. This is how that part should look like, so we'll keep that on the side just for now. Then we go on to our next bits, right here. So hold this like that, and this guy, the hooks are staying up, just like that, and we pop it straight in through the bigger holes there. It's not going to go through the small holes, obviously. And there we go. Okay. As you can see, that is in, which is absolutely lovely. And if you look at the instructions, you will realise all the orange bits, areas, need to be waxed. And when we look at these little guys, it looks like they have to be waxed. So I have got my wax stick. If you don't, remember you can use your tea light candle. So I'm just going to give them a wax. There we go. Make sure I put plenty on there. I'm never shy by using wax in models, because you want everything to run as smooth as possible, Anna. Right, now, again, hold the hooks up, literally just like that, so they're facing the ceiling basically. And then this is going to go on here, like that. But you have to make sure that these two holes on the side kind of face you and not the other way around like this, and then you pop this on. That's a no-no. Then we simply pop it on like this. Very nice and easy. And then this little guy is just going to go right in here. So it should go through. So see, when you kind of leave it hanging like that, you can't see through. If you push it up, you can see the holes. So make sure you push it up. Alright, nice and gentle. You don't want to break that little piece. It's very tiny. That would be quite easy to break. As you can see, we have got these two little guys, and they'll be ready to go in a second. Now we can go back to this big guy. And there's a couple of parts that need to be waxed. So these 3 lines on the outside, like around them, have to be waxed, and the inside as well. And this is where the actual birthday candle comes in handy as well, because it really nicely fits in, as you can see. Obviously you have to shave off the sides to kind of make it pointy, yeah. There we go. Remember, we want plenty of wax because we want the model to run incredibly smoothly. And this little hole right there has to be waxed as well. And I'm going to show you something interesting in just a second. So that's the hole done. I'm going to use my big tea light candle because it's much easier for this area, because we're going to go on top of this as well. You see that? There we go. Plenty. Yep, I've got loads left over, but that's perfectly fine. That can all be melted down, you know, and shaped however you fancy. So that is actually quite magic. Now, these guys have to go on this. So see, what I see straight away is that this guy, like this, sorry. So this guy is going to go on like this. And I assume it's going to move up and down. But when I'm looking at this, this piece right here, I'm not sure if it's going to be rubbing against this, but I assume it will be because we waxed this area already. But why haven't we waxed this little piece and basically the whole back of this? So that's what you should, I think, definitely do. So I'm going to wax that little guy just a little bit, kind of put more on the sides, there we go, and then wax the back of this. Let's see, yep, this whole back. It's all a just in case, and yep, again, I'm going to keep repeating myself about wax. Wax, 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 and just wax. Do not stop waxing. So, when this guy goes on, this is going to go through like this, yeah? So, I can see why we had to wax the little guys there. So, I'm just testing it, and I can kind of hear the rubbing, and that is against this little H1 right there. So I'm going to go kind of around it, give it plenty of waxing so there's not too much friction basically. Right, I know it looks a bit like a mess, a waxy mess, but that is what we need. Right, so this, as you can see, I'm keeping these 2 holes from the side this way, so to the right, and then it simply goes on like this. Now when I move it, it's definitely quieter and it feels way smoother. And then this simply goes on here. So these 2 holes will be covered by that 2 little guys right there. Oops, sorry, I was actually wrong way. Haha, nearly fell for that too. Right, let me point at that again. So this big hole on the side has to go on this little guy that I just waxed. There we go. Push you on, just nice and gentle. There we go. So, as you can see, these 2 guys are on. Let's give it a test. There you go. See, there is lots of rubbing. That's why wax is necessary. So, yeah, we want it to run really smooth, and that is that is absolute magic. Perfect. Right, gonna pop that to the side now. Let's move onto this little rod. Oh, my hands are waxy now. I might lose it. We'll see. So, anyways, we have to grab this little rod right here. I'm gonna call it rod, or you can call it however you want, shaft. So, To pick the right one, instructions literally kind of show you what size it is, and if you put it against the size that the instructions show you, it actually matches the exact size that you need, which is so handy. And we also need 4 of these plastic sleeves or spacers. You can call them whatever you fancy. And you will also need something for the worktop, because we're going to have to push 4 sleeves on all together. So I've got a bit of slate. What you can use is just a little bit of piece of wood, you know, so you don't damage the actual table. Then we pop one on the side. So we need 2 sleeves at the bottom. So I put one at the bottom straight away. Now I put one on the top. Then that goes in this hole, and we're going to push down on it. Alright, let's see. There we go. See that? Absolute precision. Right, anyways. Now this is going to go through this hole right here. See that? Right there. And now we need another 2 sleeves on the other side. Let's see how easily they go on. Wow. Oh god, that was actually quite nice and easy. Maybe all my waxy hands are helping, eh? Okay, let's see if that's working. Yup, that is absolute magic. So make sure they're as flush as possible, really. That's all you need to make sure. There we go. Look at that. That's a good start, and if it runs this smooth, then you're in good luck. Right, on to our step number 2. Right, let's grab that step number 2. Okay, I'm going to push these out of the way a little bit because there's a few pieces here. Leave that to the side. Right, and this is when we actually install the motor as well in step number 2. So nice and early. And as you can see, this is where you're also going to use one of the plastic parts. So that's where this nail clipper comes in super handy. As an example, let me show you this. So this is a piece I'm going to need for the next step, I'm pretty sure. So literally just make sure that tip kind of goes underneath there really nicely and just gently squeeze. See that? That is extremely easy and very quite satisfying actually. There you go, see that? And when you look at the edges, there is basically like no burrs at all, because you definitely really do not want to sand the plastic. Yeah, you don't want to breathe that in, you know. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to need that piece as well, so I'm just doing it because it's in my hand, you know. Right, okay. Let's split all of these over just so we can see what we've got here. Right, this is the gear that we're going to need now. We're also going to need this, and of course this big guy. And we will also need to wax certain parts / areas again. And as you can see, this is the printed side, so you can see a little bit of art. But this is how you're going to hold it. Anyways, we need to wax this hole, that hole, this hole, and that hole. So 4 holes altogether. So just go ahead and do that. And I'm going to do exactly the same. Okay, so all 4 holes have been waxed, so that's great. There is more to wax. So let's wax this K1 gear now. And the instructions don't tell you to do it, but I will wax this as well. So just the edges, because it's actually going to go right in here. And what if it somehow like moves and it starts touching the sides? It's a just in case. And this again is where your birthday candle's gonna come in super handy. So you literally stick it in between your gear teeth like that. See that? It fits in really nicely. So go ahead and wax your gear. You could also wax this as well, because why not? Right, so that's all that waxed. So my 2 gears are waxed and everything on here is waxed as well. Now we can go ahead and start the build basically. So let's start with the motor, and then this guy is literally going to go over it like that, as you can see. And I'm going to start with only 1 screw. So yeah, this is where the wooden piece goes, the A4. Then we're going to pop the screw in. So it's this silver screw, quite short-ish. And again, you can put it against the actual measurements on the instructions. So as you can see, I will just pop in here. I'm going to screw in just a little bit, just until I can feel it. And now we could go and pop that motor through this side, but I can see that this gear is going to have to go right there. I don't know if it's really going to be touching this board, but that's why I'm going to wax just around here. Instructions don't tell you to do that, but I'm doing it. Instructions do actually tell you to wax the outside of this ring right here. So let's do that as well at the same time. There we go, look at all that leftovers. Nice, that's what I like to see. And we can also wax the back of this actual gear, because this printed side is kind of going to be on the outside. Right, there we go. It's again just in case. I want it to run as smoothly literally as possible. So then the motor goes literally on like that. So I'm going to pop the screw on. Okay. There we go. Okay. Torque is actually really good because I do not want to over tighten it. And we pop another screw on right here on the other side. Okay. Don't know why the light just turned on. I do not need a light. There we go. Nice. Oh, I missed the hole actually. Okay, actually need to increase the torque a little bit for that one. Undo this one actually a little bit. Yeah, that's what you should probably do. Oh, there we go, that's better. Yeah, don't do one fully, to be honest. That's why I did, and it kind of didn't want to go in the other one fully. So I undid a little bit, and that helped a treat. Right, now we pop this little guy in that we waxed. See that? And it, yeah, again, it doesn't look like it's going to reach sides, but it's always a just in case. Then, when we come to this gear, we have to make sure it goes on the actual, is a rod? Not rod, shaft, sorry. On the shaft properly. So when you look at this, let me push that wax out. It looks rectangular. See that hole in the middle? And that's how it has to go on the actual shaft right there. So rectangular. Literally like that. So it's really nice and tight, and it doesn't basically damage the gear or slip or anything, you know. Not that it would slip, to be honest. And there we go. The gear is very close to the actual piece, but it doesn't look like it's touching. So that is absolutely awesome. So maybe we didn't need to wax it, but again, it's alright. There's no harm in that. And then our third silver screw. That will go right here. Oh my god, my hands are slidey. Oh, it's brilliant. Alright, there we go. Okay, that is nice and as tight as really it should be. You do not want to over tighten that. No way, but again, it has to be tight. And there we go. This is how the motor has to look from the back and the front. First gear installed. Awesome. Okay, when we look at our next pieces, so this is your plastic eye right here, there's a couple areas that need to be waxed, and one of them is this. See this edge? Right here. Even though it's plastic, it's not like it's going to create that much friction against the wood, but it will create a little bit. So yeah, let's just wax it ahead. And the actual gear has to be waxed a little bit as well. So I'm kind of pushing it in just hard-ish. So I don't think you're going to have to get in all those teeth 100%, because if you just kind of push the wax on it, the wax will kind of just fall in them. As you can see, it's kind of in some of those spaces, and it will just stay there and just spread, as you can see. See that? Nicely covered. Then, this guy, I know that this is going to go right on here, I'm pretty sure. Let's have a look. Is it going to be? Yeah, it might be actually, it will be touching the hole a little bit. So I'm going to wax around this area, because it's going to be touching. I don't know if there's going to be a gap in between, but I'm still doing it. And I'm going to wax one of the sides. I'm just going to have to remember that this is the side I waxed. before it actually goes on. And our actual gear, that was waxed already, as you can see, so it's just the teeth that need to be waxed. Right, now we go on to this bigger circle slash round piece, and we simply pop one screw through. Let's start with it one, and that goes through the smaller holes, not the bigger ones, the smaller ones. Let's pop one in, and that simply will go through here. As you can see, there's two holes. There's one, and see, this is why you shouldn't use the other holes for the screws, because that's where it actually clicks on this little guy right here. So I'm going to leave just one screw in just now, and that will just go in here. That's why we need it to wax it. As you can see, it's going to be touching it. I also noticed that this is touched by this piece. Again, I'm just going to wax it. There we go. Loads of wax, loads of wax. Oh, my screw just fell out, but actually it's okay because the plastic pieces are holding it into place. Anyways, it's not like the wooden piece is going to fall off, you see. Okay, so I'm going to hold it like this, so it's rectangular kind of that way, if that makes sense really. Now, our next piece, as you can see, this right here, this is going on rectangularly again. There we go. We can screw the screw in a little bit. Okay, just a little bit, and then this actual gear that will go straight on, just like the previous piece, just like that, and just make sure the teeth connect. There we go. Let's push in a little bit. There we are. Heard a little click. Now let's put the screw in. Oh, watch those cables. There we are. I don't want to over tighten it, of course, so just be careful. And the second screw. Okay, let's have a look. There we go. Can I move them all? Yep, as you can see, it all moves a little bit. You probably shouldn't be doing that really with your hand if the motor's not running, but a little bit will be okay, you know. You're not going to do too much harm, really. And if you've gotten this far already, absolutely awesome. Look at those two pieces right there. Magic job, and a lot of wax used already, which is good. Right, okay, on to our next step. So step number 3. So yeah, that's the two plastic pieces that I cut out already. As you saw, it's extremely easy and actually, yeah, quite satisfying because it leaves a nice clicking sound. Anyways, so when we come to this piece, we have to wax the center. So just gently rub it around. Yeah, and I don't want too much wax on this really, but yeah, just enough because it's only plastic. That will be fine if you get a little bit of wax on it. It'll be slidey enough, you know. And then we also need to grab this, and again, give it a nice rubbing of wax right in the center, you know, right in that ring. My wax just broke. That's okay though. I've got plenty lying about. And now we come to these little screws. Looks like a little mushroom basically. Right, okay. Then this guy is gonna go right on here. There's actually two plastic kinda arms, I'm gonna call them, see that? And there's one there. And it kinda just clicks on these two holes right there, which is nice, you know, it's just holding it in place. And then we simply pop the two screws in. There's one. Sounds like the screwdriver is struggling, but that's alright. Does not matter to me. Yeah, maybe the torque's a bit low. Or maybe just needs charged. Right, okay. As you can see, that was very nice and straightforward. If you wanted to, you could give it another rub of wax, just in case. There you go, just a little bit, you know. You cannot under wax. That is literally the truth. Right, now we need to wax this part on this big plastic piece, and we also need to wax, it looks like this whole area basically, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the tea light candle because it's just going to cover it in seconds, you know. Look at that. Loads loads of wax. That will stay there for a long time as well, which is great, you know. That's exactly what you want. Oh, look at that. Oh my god, yes. That is good. I know it sounds really weird, but it's okay. Right, anyways. Now, you need to make sure that this plastic piece, remember how we just screwed this on, you need to turn it upside down, like this. And then this guy is simply going to go on like this. Let's see, if this, I don't know if this is going to be touching with that plastic there, but obviously you heard the rubbing. I'm just going to put a little bit of wax on here, just in case. And then we go back to this again, and we pop it straight in, as you can see. Obviously, very nice and straightforward so far. And then when we go to our next pieces, we need to wax these gear teeth right here. Then we also need to wax J21, so there's a few bits to really be waxed, to be honest. And then we also need to wax this, so that is the H21. So let's go and do that. Okie dokie, all waxed, so that is absolutely awesome. And let's basically try and keep this guy towards the bottom for now, okay? Alright, let's try and hold in place. So we start with the first wax piece, which is right here. So remember which side you waxed. Surely you're not going to be forgetting that one. I'm just spreading that wax there, which is great. Then we got this K7, so sort of holding everything in place already. Alright, okay, then we got our gear, and make sure that this face that has nothing on it, there's no art on it, is going towards the plastic and not the art side, this side. Okay, and again, don't know if you noticed, but it's shaped again like a rectangular shape right there. See that? And it's the same on that plastic piece. So this is how it's going on. So it's going on it really nicely, you know. So awesome. Right, on to our next piece, which is right here. So that's our J23. Alright, see how that goes on. There you go. So you kind of rotate it a little bit, and it just kind of pops into place, which felt really quite nice, to be honest. And then we got our H21, so that's been waxed as well. And there we go, that kind of makes everything go into place really nicely. And as you can see, we could actually just turn it, so because we need to make sure this stays towards the bottom, we could just simply turn this to make sure it stays like that, because now it has to go on here. So I hope you actually did wax the outside of this as well, because you just need to do it. Right. Then we make sure face is down. Let's make sure the gear's connected. There we go. So I'm connecting the gears right here, and it's popped through the back, which is amazing. So let's see. There we go. I moved it again. So I lifted the gear, moved it down a bit, because this has to face downwards like that. So make sure you have done that. Okay, then we go to the back and we pop this on. And make sure the art stays on the outside as well. Okay. Not really easy. Oh, there was a broken little wee piece there. Alright, let's see. Yeah, that's not going on that easily. Trying to push it on nice and gentle, because I don't want to break it, of course. And I have to make sure this stays down. Yep, it is. Don't want to move that gear around too much. Oh, is that it? Nope, still no. So I'm trying to turn it. I keep turning it clockwise or anti-clockwise until I can feel it kind of pop in, and yeah, there we go, it did. So you kind of have to turn and push it at the same time, and you're going to kind of feel wee side popping in. So that's what happened. And then we pop the screw in to hold everything in place. There we go. As you can see, this is pointing down, which is exactly what we need. And this, yeah, this is moving really nicely. Again, This is what loads of waxing does to your models, you know? This is amazing! Right, anyways, let's now pay attention to the next part. So, this is how this plastic bit has to be, not like this. So the biggest, the longest side has to go this way, right here. Because then, when we grab the next piece, which is right here, it's going to go in like this, as you can see. So it doesn't really matter where you pop it in first, here or here, or you can try and do them both at the same time. I'm going to pop in the bottom first, right here. Just like that, and then I'm simply going to turn it on. So you can actually keep this piece like that, and then just kind of twist it into place. There we go. And then push the wooden piece over it. See that? Right there. Absolute magic, guys. Look at that taking a shape already. That is magic. And then our next pieces. These pieces are still part of step 3. And this guy right here has to be waxed. And it's been waxed for me already. But what you have to wax is when you're holding it like this, this whole front area has to be waxed. And this is where my tea light candle comes in incredibly handy because it's huge and it takes seconds to wax it. And I did actually wax the inside of this gap right here as well, just a little bit, because there will be a piece that goes in it. It's not going to be touching it that much, but it will be touching it, of course. So I want my model to run as smooth as possible. So I'm going to leave that on the side. Now we go to this guy right here. So make sure this little leg kind of faces up the way. Then we grab this guy, pop it right at the bottom. Nice and gentle. There we go. Hear that nice little wee click. That's what we like to hear. And then it simply goes right in here. See that? Okay. So make sure this middle hole goes on the motor, basically on the shaft. Right there. See that? It's just going to hold it even better into place, which is magic. And now we go to this guy. Again, you can hold it like this. And it's simply going to go through this hole right here. And just keep pushing in until it drops into this little leg right here. See that? Yep, that's exactly what we need. So if you made it this far, absolute magic. And now we got this little guy. Make sure this little hook is facing up the way. And that will go right in here. So let's just go ahead, pop that on. There you go. See that? That looks so cool already. This is amazing. Right, let's just keep it going. Okay, this is where we start our step 4. And as you can see straight away, there is 2 gears. And I can tell you both of them need to be waxed. So let's do that first. Okay, both gears have been waxed. Now what we need is only 1 gear to start with, and this little there we go, shaft. I don't know why I keep using the shaft word. Oh my goodness, need to stop saying it. Anyways, so let's pop one of the sleeves on. So we need 4 all together. Again, use your little piece of wood or whatever as your base because you don't want to damage your worktop. And we simply try and squeeze another sleeve on the top. Just like that. Can I get straight in the middle? Ah, nearly. There you go. See that? And that's 2 sleeves right in there. Okay. Now that has to go through this little guy right here. Then it goes through this gear right here. Just like that. And then this, again, goes on the other side, just like the previous side. And 2 sleeves on the top. So that'll have to be nice and tight because there's clearly not much space. Well, let's see. There we go. And 1 more to go. I could just pop that on with my finger. That was nice and easy, which is good. Okay, there we go. As you can see, that was very nice and simple. Okay, let's now move on to these guys right here. Simple. This guy and this guy. The 2 legs. As you can see when you look at this, this is quite a small leg. Well, shorter. And this is quite a long one, as you can see. And when you look at this, you can clearly see that one's got a longer hole and one's got smaller hole. So we'll just hold it like this. There we go. So longer hole, leg in the longer hole, and vice versa basically, you know. And then when we look at this guy, make sure it faces the right way. So literally, this, just imagine this little arm just pointing to the left, and the longer hole stays on the right, just like that. And it will just go over. But first, let's pop the gear in. There we go, literally just like that. And I can see that it's clearly going to be turning, because it's a gear of course. It's going to be touching, so the two pieces of wood, the small one, is going to touch this side, and it's going to be the same on the other side. So I'm going to go and wax, because we don't want friction. Alright, it does not tell you to do that in the instructions, but I have learned that everything has to be waxed like crazy basically for everything to work amazing. Alright, let's do this side as well. There we go, plenty, you know. Now we pop it back in, and we pop this on the top. Just nice and gentle, there we go. And yeah, I can tell the difference straight away. Can you hear any friction? That's just my finger hitting it kinda. But there's literally hardly any. When I popped in the first time, I didn't even have the cover on. I heard and felt the friction straight away. And that feels extremely smooth. So I'm delighted, and you should definitely do the same. Right, again, this gear, we waxed it already. Then it's going to go on this little guy. So when we look at this again, make sure that you pay attention to that arrow. See where the arrow is going? It's going that way. So to the left, which means the gear is going to come in from the left. So I'm going to keep the pattern on the outside actually, not that it's actually telling you. Or no, yeah, okay, I can see it actually. There we go. Right, so just pop that on, literally just like that. And we got this guy going on straight like that. And our H17. So it's all again kind of rectangular shaped. Alright. There you go. As you can see, that one's in. And now we basically need to do the same on the other side. But obviously we don't have the gear. Okay. Come on. Yes. Nice and tight. Just be careful. There we go. Okay. Now we can return to this. And this is going to go literally, I'm saying return to this because this is actually going to go on this. So this gear does go on this. And it's literally going on like this. So where you see this little wee gap, that's where this small end is going to go. Literally just like that. Obviously just make sure that the gears have actually locked in a place. So they're connected, see? And, oh, that's not going to work obviously because I'm moving it just now. But this is how it should be. And the gears again have to be connected. Why did I just move it? Come on. Has to pop into place. Okay. Right, there we go. And now that will simply go on here. And we've waxed this hole already, which is great. So, as you can see, well, okay, this little leg right here will go in here, in that hole, and this leg will go in that hole right there. Okay, just be nice and gentle. Alright, now we push it in. Okay, okay. And we bring in this guy. Literally the first thing we assembled. Oh my god, that's so funny. Because it's smooth as hell and it feels amazing. Anyways, this little guy from that gear that we just assembled is going to go in this hole, and that should have been waxed. I think we waxed it. Yep, I can see wax on it. But I don't think we waxed this. So make sure you pop a little bit of wax all over it. We should have actually done it before we popped into place, but it's okay. Just use a little stick to try and get in at the bottom. There we go. Nice. And now, this can go straight on, right? Let's just be careful. There we go. That's better. Okay. So these two legs go through the bigger holes there. Nice and gentle. Okay, I have to be very careful here. Right, that's in. How about the rest of it? How's that looking? I think it looks pretty good. Oh, don't push it too far. Right, okay. So, when you look at it, it might look like there's a gap, but that will have to be like that, as you can see, because this piece has to be able to move. See that? And I'm pretty sure that's why that whole big piece had to be waxed at the front. Okay, I see. Okay, that is very interesting and super cool. Right, now we can come to these guys. So let's try and secure some pieces. So we look at this guy first, right here. So that will be turned basically like this because it has to go on here. See that? And it will lock on the two pieces on this side and one piece on this side here. See that? Well, that went on really nicely, just so it doesn't move in too much because there has to be that gap, of course. Then we go on this guy right here. We go on the other side and this literally plugs in right here. So imagine this is a little hammer, yeah? So it's the actual hammer head that goes in here. See that? Nice and easy. And then this little guy, make sure the pattern stays on the outside. That goes right on here. Again, remember it's rectangular, okay? There we go. Look at that. That looks really cool. I really like the lines, by the way. That looks really quite nice, the white lines. And then all that's left is this guy right here. So first thing that we'll go through is this kind of rectangular bigger hole. Then these two sides and this, that'll be the second one. The third one will be the middle part and this will be the fourth one. So just be very, very gentle. So the first part through first, see that? Yep. Okay. Just nice and gentle. Very nice and gentle. Do not want to break anything. So this side is in, as you can see. That's nice and flush. That is amazing. I'm pretty sure it's just this other side that's not in fully. Yep, I'm right. Aha. There we go. As you can see, these two are kind of tiny bit out. Yes, there we go. See, that is good. Same as this side. All nice and flush. Yup, that is exactly what we need. And look at that. This piece is taking its shape. That looks quite amazing. I'm actually very tempted to just connect the motor and see what happens. But we're going to be able to test that actually very soon. Right, now let's go and pop out some more steps. Okie dokie, here we are. So my pieces have been popped out and my pieces that need to be waxed have been already waxed. So we're in step number 5 now. So let's push this away just for now and get this whole thing right in. See, when you come to this piece, by the way, not sure if you noticed it on the instructions, but you have to push out all the remaining pieces that are on this board. We do not want them in. Anyways, when we come to this piece, I'm just going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. I'm just thinking ahead, you know. You could do the same if you wanted to. You need to wax the top part of this piece. So imagine you're holding it like this. This whole bit has to be waxed. And then when we come to this guy, this has to be waxed as well. So we see where the pattern is. That means it's facing up basically, and that's what has to be waxed. And also these little guys, they have to be waxed as well. So it says the top part has to be waxed, but I just waxed both sides and the actual sides as well. Right, anyways, we come to this piece right here. And again, as you can see, it's actually got coloured sides, same as this actual big board. So make sure you don't sand too much. We don't want to lose that nice dark brown colour. Right, let's come to this piece right here. And make sure the plain side is facing up. Okay, so we start with these two little guys right here. And that will just pop right in here. And as you can see also, when we're looking at these, we can see the two sides are brown. Well, sorry, one side on each is brown, and the other side is plain. So, the instructions don't really tell you how it should be facing, but I'm going to face it to the left, basically. That's what I'm going to do. And we just pop it straight in. Let's see, nice and gentle. Give it a little wiggle if you need to, because it didn't go in that easily, so we need slight pressure. And again, I'm keeping my coloured side to the right hand side, sorry. Now anyways, as you can see. See that? Coloured side to the right. Then we come to these guys, and they are also coloured, as you can see. So I'm going to face it the same way again, and they simply go in here. So the smaller leg, that one goes right in here. Aha, okay, I just noticed something. Let's see. So if I pop this one in here, looks like the brown sides are facing the other way, so the left hand side. If I pop in at the bottom on the other side, as you can see, the brown side is going to face the other direction. So I don't think that will actually really matter, because the instructions don't tell you where that colour actually goes. And I'm looking for my fourth piece. Oh, it has actually vanished. Nope, it's right here. I'm just slightly blind there. Jesus. Sorry, whizzers. Right, come on. Hooah! There we go. Watch your fingers there. You can use a little wee tool to help you kind of push them in, because it was quite tough actually. And this is how it should look like. Very nice and easy. And then we come to our board right here, and that will click into place. So obviously keep the dark side to the top. And then we turn it around, and we pop the little legs we just popped in, all four in the holes. Let's see, there we go. When I hear that clicking kind of friction sound, I'm like, yes, that's good, it's going into place. There we go. Again, you can use your tool to help you push them in if you don't want to hurt your fingers, basically. And then we also got two screws that are going in. So one right here, right at the end. Not the holes that you see there, not the small ones. They go in right at the end, the screws. Right. There we go. That's one. Don't want to over tighten it, because I don't want to put too much tension on any pieces of wood. As you can see, that's how it should look like. There we go. I'm not sure if these, because the screws are sticking out a little bit, I'm not sure if you can see. Oh yeah, you can. I don't know if this is going to be a bother for anything, but if it will be, I'll just simply undo them a little bit, because they are kind of sticking up slightly. But I'll leave it for now. Then we go ahead and grab this strange looking piece, and just to pretend that it's going in basically like this, as you can see. So this is how I'm holding it. This is how you hold the board, and that will literally go right in there. See that? Two slots, the smaller slot and the wider slot. Literally right here. So just push that straight in. There we go. Nice and easy. And then we grab this piece. So when you look at this piece, you can see the pattern, and keep the pattern towards you basically, and it will just go on like this. And then there's another piece that goes on the back to hold it into place. So we can pop this piece on first actually. Alright, let's pop these legs through. Let's see, there we go, as you can see. And now we keep the pattern towards yourself. Alright, there we are. Nice and easy. Okay, now we come to our little elf, I'm gonna call her. Look at that, that is so cute. Anyways, so you're holding it like this, and we have to pop the piece on like this. So the longer end has to stay towards that way. So let's see, this is how I'm holding it. The longer end of this small piece has to face that way, basically, away at the back of this little elf. There we go. And then we grab this piece, hold it like that, and it simply goes in like this. See that? Oh, also, I just remembered, I know I mentioned that you need to wax the top parts of these two pieces. You do also need to wax the actual gaps on the inside, so this big one and this big one here as well. I did do that, but I'm just reminding you to do it. So, we pop this little elf in, like that, give it a test, see how smooth it goes, and it goes extremely smooth, which is perfect. And then we go to the back, and we pop this little piece on. So that will hold it into place, so it doesn't fall off, basically, the little elf. Whoosh! Again, it's like a rectangular shape. Just be nice and careful. Ooh, there we go. Yes. Oh, a little wee piece came off as I was pushing in. That's okay though. No harm done. See that? There we go. And that is extremely smooth. That is magic. Oh my god. Oh, it's not moving on its own, but yeah. You can see it's magic pretty much. Right, when you come to this part, you might be slightly confused on instructions because you'll be like, how does it hold into place? But you simply hold it like this, and when you look at the board, you can actually see the line, and that's where it exactly has to go. Literally, like this. So instructions help, the actual board helps you by miles, and you simply place it on those lines. Magic. And then this will go over it like that. There we go. We keep the lady at the bottom, the elf. So it pops in that other hole at the bottom. So this elf, the bottom part, that round piece has to go in this hole right there. So let's do that. I think that's in. Yep. And then we're going to try and lock this piece into place. Okay. There we go. So I can kind of see where this is going. So when the elf will go up, the piece should push out like that. See that? There you go. So I can see exactly what's happening here. And because this piece is rubbing against the board, it does feel quite smooth, which is good. You can actually wax the other side as well. That's what we want to do all the time. Whenever there's friction, whenever there's two pieces of wood that are moving, are touching each other, we wax it. And this is shaping to be really cool. Okay, now we come to this guy that we very, very recently assembled. So how this is going to go in is we push it on and then we push it back to lock it into place. So these two legs right here. So we can kind of follow them as a guide. So they will pop in here, see that? Like a T hole, and then there's another one here. So that where that goes in, and we simply just push in and follow the rest of them. It will just fall into place. And then we simply push it back. Very gently, see that? Just checking the bottom, make sure nothing's broken and everything's good. Yep, as you can see this leg, that leg, and these two legs, they just locked everything into place as we moved it towards the back. See that? That is lovely. And then this motor wire has to go through it. So see that hole right here? That's where that goes in. And it has to come through to the other side. So let's push it through the other hole. Let's look at the other side. As you can see, this is where it has to come out. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't really kind of wrap around the motor on the top part anyways. Just kind of at the bottom. There we go, just like that. So this is where my wires are. I think that should be okay. Yeah, that will be okay. See that? So that's where that goes, and it has to come through to the other side just like that. Okay, now we come to the actual speaker part. Right, as you can see, my screws have obviously stuck to the speaker because there's magnet in the speaker, and this will go on like this. There we go. So keep the speaker facing the bottom and keep the magnet facing up the way, and the cable kind of has to come out through this side. I'm going to turn it actually a little bit. There we go. Like this. So make sure the cable kind of goes on the left hand side. And then we pop this guy on because we're going to lock that speaker in. Let's see how well it actually holds in once this piece is on. Align those holes and then we simply pop these 3 screws on. Like this. Grab your screwdriver. Okay, are the other holes aligned? I think they are. Alright, let's pop another 2 screws in. So one at the top and one at the bottom. Okay. Yep, it is holding it into place with those actual screws. See that? Because it's like a mushroom, the top part of the screw is quite wide and it actually locks that speaker into place, which is really cool. Oh, this last screw, I should have probably grabbed tweezers because it's quite tight there. Yeah, you can just use tweezers to kind of pop the screw in if you need to. And as you can see, that is now in. And yeah, that is not coming out. And yeah, again, remember the speaker has to face the bottom of the board. Lovely, look at that, that's so cool. Okie dokie, now we come to the controls board, which is right here. So we're going to hold it like this, literally this way. And this cable has to go through this hole. Remember where we pulled through the actual motor cable? That's where this cable has to go through. And it basically goes back the way, you know. Nice and simple. As you can see, the cable just came through this other end. So just leave it there for now. And what we need to do is connect the speaker and the motor because we're going to test it very soon. Right, so the motor one goes right in here in this bigger hole. So when you look at the actual connection, it looks like there's a little bit of a part that's sticking up the way on this white connector. And that has to face up because that way it's going to click into place really nicely. Hear that click? Perfect. And the speaker goes literally right next to it. There we go. Gonna turn it. Just waiting for that click. So I noticed that the speaker cable didn't have the little bit sticking up, but you can tell by looking on the sides, there's a little bit of sides kind of sticking out. So you have to make sure it kind of stays closer to the top and not the bottom, and then push it right in. There we go. So that's our 2 connections done, and I'm pretty sure this is actually the button. Yep, that is pretty cool. Now what we need to do is connect the actual power source. So this is where this is going to go basically. Remember? So that's our controls board. And we're going to connect it. So that connects right in here. Again, just like the motor's connector, there's a little bit right in the middle on the top, kind of facing up the way. And when you look at the actual inside, right there, see that gap at the top? So that's where that's going to go. Nice and simple. And make sure it's pushed in all the way. You don't want it to be any loose at all. So just use your fingernail, you know, or anything tiny and just push it gently in. There you go. Just like that. Okay, now that our power source has been connected, obviously the power's not on yet, I just realised I kind of kept glancing at these 2 pieces here and I'm like, I have not touched them yet. I've got a feeling I should have. And I actually only need one. And that was for when we push this whole top part in, this little guy has to come in through the bottom. And just kind of, it helps it hold into place really nicely. So we just push it straight through. There we go. Nice wiggle. There we go. See that? So that means it can't come back basically. So that's where that goes. So I kind of skipped sort of like 2 steps or something like that, but that's no big deal at all if you just missed that. Okay, and now we are also going to connect the lights. Right, so as I mentioned, we're on to our lights now. But the first thing we're going to do is secure this power supply. So what we simply do is pop a screw through the bottom. See, there's 2 holes right there. So I'm going to start with the back actually. Pop the box on. There we go. I'm going to screw it in just a tiny bit. just a tiny bit, so I've got wiggle room for the other screw. There we go, just so I know that it's in the hole properly. Okay, torque's a bit low again, I think. Okay, oh nice, that is definitely tight enough. Okay, and now what we got to do is go and connect those lights. Right, I'm gonna separate them. Okay, so we got one really long one, which is this one right here. So it's got a red and white cable. So that is your long light. So we're going to keep that on the left hand side. Then we got these lights, as you can see with this yellow lights board, if that's what you call it. Circuit, there you go, light circuit basically. That's got green and red cable, so we're going to pop that on the left side as well. And this light, the short one, with the white and blue cable, stays on the right hand side. So what we do is we start plugging in the lights first. So start with this one, the small one. Let's go to our controls board right here. Okay, let's look at the inside. Let's pop that straight in. There we go. That's that in. And what we'll have to do is also make sure that we got a little bit of loose cable on this side, but we're going to do that in just a minute. Then we've got the long lights going right next to the short lights, right in here. Make sure it's properly in there, properly connected. And then we go with these lights, and that goes in right at the end. There we go. That, just like that. See that? Very nice and simple. And then all that's left to do before the test is to secure this controls board right on here. So we've got two holes, sorry, one hole on each side, as you can see. We pop the screw right here, pop it on the hole, there we go, so it lines up, and simply screw it in. Okay. Do not screw this board on too tight, because if that cracks, you would probably need a new board, so you don't want to take your chances, you know, just nice and gentle. And there we go. As you can see, that is very nicely secured. And now, all we've got to do is basically test it. And what you can do with these cables right here, so the motor cable right there, that can go over that little hook right there, see that? We'll pop this underneath, and this yellow and black cable, that was the power supply, wasn't it? Oh no, that's the motor, yellow, black one. The black and white one was actually the power supply. So both of them can go on this little hook right there, just to keep them kinda neat, you know? There we go. Oh, it kinda just keeps bouncing out. Okay, I'll leave that for now, but we can sort that out after. It just keeps bouncing out. And then when we look at this light, again, we can sort it out after. That will go right in here, in this first slit. Oh, that's too close. There we go, that slit right there. But we need to make sure we leave 5 centimeters on this side, so loose on this side. And we can just use our little wee tool to kind of measure 5 centimeters. So it's approximately like here. And we simply push it in, nice and gentle obviously. There we go, as you can see that, right there, perfect. Now what we can do is go and literally plug the USB type C cable in here, and then we're going to use this button to work it. So I've got my cable right here, so when I plug it in and I push it once, this spring, what should happen is the motor should start, the light should be on or blinking, and the music should play. And then, if I press it again, the music should stop playing, and if I press it and hold it, everything should turn off. And we're also going to see how the gears are moving, if everything's nice and smooth. So let's go ahead and do that. And I've got confidence in us. I think we've done amazing so far. Alright. Let's now push that button. This is amazing! Look at that. So I push the button, the music is off, and look at that. Look at those gears. So smooth. Hear that? I can't hear any friction. All I can hear is the actual motor, which is absolutely amazing. Let's not press and hold it. And it's off. Oh my god, I'm absolutely delighted. And I really hope you are delighted too, because this is amazing. That's basically all the electronics done, I'm pretty sure, which is great. And they're all working as they should. I'm absolutely delighted. Right guys, so this will be the end of part 1 series. And I really hope you enjoyed it, and if I helped you, make sure you leave a comment down below letting me know how you got on. And I always love to hear where are you guys watching from / building from. So let me know what country you're from down below in the comment section. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and go and check out Rokr models. And remember, use my promo code Martins15 to save 15% off on everything. And I will see you all during the part number 2. Bye for now.